I'm 23 years old. I saved up a deposit and moved out within 7.5 months with no financial help from family. Here's exactly how I did it. First off, I sat down and I did the maths and I worked out I needed £2,500 a month saved to be able to do this in the time period we had, because we needed a £21,000 deposit plus around £4,000 for the fees and everything else that goes along with buying a house. Lucky enough, me and my partner are kind of savers, so we already had £6,000 saved up, which was actually a massive help to get us going. Why the rush? Why did we have to move out in 7.5 months? Why didn't we just wait longer? Well, we had some big news that we were going to be parents, and we thought, you know what, the best option for us in the long run is to buy a house, so let's just try and get it done. We discussed many options, like saving as much as we could, then renting for say 1 or 2 years and then buying. And we also looked at things like shared ownership and this sort of stuff, but we just decided to go for a normal mortgage on a normal house, as we believed in the long run that would serve us the best. So once we had decided this was the plan, we both got to work. My partner focused on paying off the rest of the car, which was around £2,500 left to pay, and of course growing the baby inside of her, that was enough of a task by itself. And I focused on the house deposit. So long story short, as my partner will definitely tell you, I had the easy job as she has the hard job of actually growing a human, which I think, you know, that's pretty fair. I know I would definitely just save up a deposit and grow a human. After everything she's been through the last 9 months, it looks like not so much fun. So yeah, I definitely got the better end of the stick with that one. So at the time, I actually had 2 jobs. I was cleaning in the morning and then running this small business, which is a secondhand clothing store where we sell in the high street, and we also have an eBay store. I was doing those 2, and I ran the maths again and realised that wasn't bringing in enough money. So I decided I needed that 3rd job just to get us over the line. Because like I say, we needed £2,500 saved every month. That wasn't including our actual living expenses. Luckily, we both kind of don't have massive expenses. We were both living at home with parents at the time. We have cars and stuff, but our actual living expenses weren't too high. So we were lucky in that regard, but I still need to get that income up. So with the 2 jobs, my income was £1,600 a month, which is fine at the time, and it was enough money for me to sort of enjoy, keep growing the business and sort of enjoy the little things in life. I was getting £600 for my cleaning in the mornings, and then I was also paying myself £1,000 from the business. And of course, £1,600 is a hell of a long way from £2,500 plus our living expenses, which for me was around £250. So it wasn't that much. So I got on Google and I started looking up some jobs and what I can actually fit around my business, because the business does have to come first, because that is what's going to look after us in the long run. I do believe this business is the best opportunity for me at the moment to make money. So I wanted to keep this growing, wanted to keep this going. I didn't want to quit this business to be able to, you know, get a full-time job. I wanted to have sort of 2 part-time jobs that I could do the business in the middle of the day, and I found the perfect job, which was Tesco's delivery driver. And I signed up for 16 hours a week, and that was broke down into 4 hour shifts, which was ideal for me, all in the evenings, all starting at 6 o'clock till 10 o'clock, other than a Friday, which was 7 o'clock till 11 o'clock. So it worked brilliantly for me in terms of scheduling. I did the cleaning in the morning till 8:30, and then around 9 o'clock until 5 o'clock, I came in and did my work in the shop, and then went on to Tesco's until 10 o'clock, 6 till 10. And that was kind of my life for 6 months. Even with this 2nd job bringing in around £750 a month, that still wasn't going to be enough to take us over the line. So I really need to knuckle down in the business, which is tricky because I was working so hard on these other jobs. I was getting home late, waking up early, but I knew I had to double down on the business as well. So I managed to do it. I managed to build up enough of a cash flow to then allow me to pay myself an extra £400 a month, meaning I was paying myself out of the business £1,400. I'll pop up next to me what that looked like in actual numbers, because I know sometimes when someone's reading numbers at you, it kind of just gets jumbled. So I'll pop it here. Yeah, I didn't leave myself a lot at all. It was really bare bones. I didn't buy myself anything. I'm not that sort of person anyway. I don't buy flashy things. I don't care for gadgets. So I was happy to do that, and I basically just lived off nothing for 7.5 months. So all was going well. I was working around 80 hours a week for this whole period, and it was going really well up until New Year's, where sadly we had a family member fall very sick, fall into a coma, and they were in the coma for, I think it was around 2 months. It was like 45 days in the coma and then 15 days recovering from the coma before they came home, which really put a strain on us. The stress was unbelievable, especially my partner was pregnant at the time, like I say, and trying to deal with stress, not trying to get too stressed, because the baby doesn't, obviously stress isn't good for babies when you're trying to, in any sense, but especially when they're in the womb, right? You want to try and keep as peaceful environment as possible. So all of that was going on. I was working 80 hours a week. I was only seeing my partner. It was around 3 hours in the actual week, and then a Sunday afternoon. So On a Monday, I'd get about an hour and a half in the evening with her, and same on a Wednesday, and then I wouldn't see her all the way around till Sunday afternoon. And it was a killer, to be honest. It was really difficult. We managed to push through it, but yeah, what a rock star. I don't know how she managed to survive that time because it was so shit, but yeah, absolute rock star. I don't know how she did it, growing a baby with all that stress, still working as well whilst pregnant. Yeah, unbelievable human. She probably won't see this, so I can say that, but yeah, you're a rock star. Up until this point, working all those hours wasn't actually too difficult for me. I didn't mind it. I'm quite a hard-working person anyway. I enjoy being busy. If I'm not busy, I kind of get, not in a depression, but I get into a bit of a slump and I start to feel bad about myself and stuff. So I quite like working hard, and it was quite easy up until that point, but that was the hardest time ever. Probably in my life, to be honest, and it was really difficult to go to work 80 hours a week and know your partner's struggling, but you can't actually be there present because these goals we had set. And yeah, in hindsight, should have I just quit one of the jobs and took the time and made sure she was okay? Probably. I probably, would it have been better to quit the Tesco job and just go, you know what, we'll rent for 6 months, we'll rent for a year, don't worry about it? Probably, but that's not what we did at the time. We just, and maybe this is partly on me, I used the work as an escape. I used it as a way to get away from the stress of that situation, because I think I rationalized it in my mind as I was doing the right thing. I was going out supporting in one way when maybe I should have been supporting in another way. Yeah, and maybe I missed the boat there. Maybe I misjudged that one. Maybe I should have stepped back and gone, no, you know what, it's fine. The house can wait. Maybe we should rent for a year, like I was saying, and then go and buy a house when we're ready. When we would have got there eventually, maybe I could have afforded that step back. That wasn't the only stressor at the time. Obviously we were trying to actually buy the house at this time, so we're already sort of 3.5, 4 months into our journey, and we had found a house that we wanted. Now it was time to get the mortgage and get it going. So we went to a mortgage advisor, a local one. It was really recommended. All the solicitors we went to really recommended this mortgage advisor, so we went to it blindly. And I'm not just saying this, as soon as I met the guy, I didn't like him. He didn't shake our hands, which was not the end of the world, but he just seemed distant from the start. He seemed extremely distant. He didn't seem interested at all. And when we were telling him our incomes and our situation and what we were looking for, he just really didn't seem engaged at all. And yeah, I had a bad taste in my mouth, and I went home and I actually told my parents at the time, like, I don't like this guy. It doesn't matter. I said at the time, I don't like him, but it doesn't matter. He's just here to get us a mortgage. And he was really difficult to work with. So long story short, he couldn't find us a mortgage because, one, I'm self-employed, and it is tricky to actually get a mortgage when you're self-employed, especially if you're not completely established yet. I've only been trading for 2.5 years, well, 3 years now, but at the time it was only 2.5 years. And the banks don't really like that. They like a stable income. They like to see that you've been earning that money continuously for years, or if not, you're in a job where that you have job security. That's what they want to see. So what we ended up doing is going and finding another one, basically. Found a different mortgage advisor, an independent mortgage advisor, and she was brilliant. She really, really dedicated and kept digging and emailing and calling, and yeah, she was brilliant. And she managed to find us a mortgage, which was brilliant. Super happy. But yeah, if you are self-employed and you're looking to buy a house, just be aware that that is an issue. What they did in the end is they took an average of my last 3 years profit, and obviously the first 2 years were pretty much zero, and then the year just gone was okay. So between all three, we managed to make a little bit of an income, plus the other 2 jobs we just scraped by the skin of our teeth. And it was super frustrating because at this time, the business was booming. I was doing really well. I was paying myself a full wage, £1,400 a month. It's only minimum wage, but if that was coming from a normal job, they would have allowed it as an income. But because it's from a business, they didn't. So it was really tricky. So if you're self-employed, be understanding that it's not about your monthly income, it's about your yearly turnover over the last 3 years, and they work it out like that. So just be aware. Once that was all sorted, it should have been game time, but obviously the dramas don't stop there. We managed to find a house that we liked. We were on the way to buy it. We put our offer in, offer accepted. Then we got the solicitors to look into it a little bit more, and they found a service charge because it was a relatively new build. It was built 6 years ago, and the company that built it have a service charge where they look after the surrounding area, like the parks, the green areas, the roads, all within the sort of estate. And it's fine. We knew about the service charge. That wasn't the problem. It was a clause in the service charge where if you didn't pay it, and bearing in mind it was £17 a month or something like that, £150 for the year. So not a lot of money, nothing concerning. We weren't worried about it. We weren't bothered about it, the actual payments. But if we missed a payment or a few payments, they could actually take the house away, which was obviously an issue, right? And the banks were never going to let us buy the house with that much risk, basically, because why would a bank put 200 grand into an asset that can be taken away for the sake of not paying £150? So basically, that wasn't going to happen. The bank we'd managed to get the mortgage offer from said, no, we won't accept that. It's too much risk. Fair enough. So the solicitor had to dig and dig. It was so stressful. We kept emailing saying any updates, nothing. It took 3 months. Finally, it did go through. Finally, we got the company to sign to say that is not a part of the new, like, they would essentially cancel that clause in the contract, and they wrote out a new one and blah, blah, blah. All the paperwork was done. But the stress it took to get that taken out, what a ridiculous clause. Yeah, so stupid. I don't understand how they can do that. I don't believe it's a law anymore. I don't believe they are allowed to do that now, but that had been changed in the last sort of 6 years when it was built. So when it was built, they were allowed to do it, and then in that time, they're now not allowed to do it. So nightmare, but we did get through that. But it did take about 3 months, and we were really stressed because obviously we're on this time frame where we have to be in and make it home before baby's here, and that just dragged it out, and we were pissed right off, to be honest. So yeah, like I said at the start of this video, we didn't have any financial help, but we definitely had some admin help from parents. My mum, absolute legend. I don't think we actually would have managed to buy the house without her. Not financially, we didn't get any financial help at all. Not because they didn't want to, it's because we essentially just didn't want it or need it. They wanted to help us, but we had enough to do it ourselves, so we just did it ourselves. But yeah, what they did instead is mum, just absolutely rock star, was basically our PA, our personal assistant for the 6 months, and just basically got the mortgage. She was basically organising everything and getting all the T's crossed. And because I'm somewhat dyslexic and I hate paperwork, and any admin I shut off, my brain just goes no thank you. So I would have really struggled with it. I mean, we would have probably done it, but it would have been such a ball ache, especially with me working 80 hours a week. I just didn't have the time to sit there and take reply to emails, take calls. It would have just been unfeasible for me. And obviously my fiance was working at the time and could do without the stress. So mum stepped up, legend, thank you very much. But despite all these stresses, we finally actually got into the house. We've been in there for around 3 weeks now, and we're absolutely loving it. It's the best thing. It's the best feeling to just be able to shut that door, exhale after a long day's work, and just go, this is my house. Oh, it's so beautiful to just not have anyone else bother you but your partner. Like, it's been so nice just to go home and see my partner, and yeah, just the little things like having dinner together and watching telly, and not having not having people around. Like, you got that privacy. It's so nice, and it's worth every penny that we pay for the mortgage and whatever. All that stress of the last 7.5 months has absolutely been worth it. And yeah, it was definitely worth the sacrifice of all that time given up to get it. Obviously it would have been the same as renting, but maybe now we own it, I feel like we probably see the house a little bit different. I feel like if you rent, it kind of feels different once you shut that front door behind you, but when you own it, you kind of go, fuck yeah, we did something. The sense of the pride, yeah, I love it. It's so good. You walk in there and you just go, that we did this. It's such a good feeling. For anyone who is looking to buy a house of any age and any financial situation, this is what I recommend. Again, I'm just an idiot on the internet, so take this with a pinch of salt, but a few things that I've sort of picked up along the way that really helped us get across the line. Number one, 100% get a mortgage advisor. It cost us, I think, £350 to have them sort the mortgage out. But the amount of times we went to her, asked a question, or the amount of times we went to her and said, can you run up the solicitor and try and get a reply off them, because we can't. And she kept hounding them, and the amount of admin she managed to do and save us, and the time she saved us, and the stress she saved us. As stressful as it was, without her, it would have been a million times worse. So 100% it was worth 350 quid. Some are more, some are less, but yeah, it was absolutely worth the money paid to do that. One thing I would change is the solicitor. So we got a non-local solicitor. We're in North Devon, and we got a solicitor up in Kent, I believe. I wouldn't do that again. They were brilliant, but I would probably get one local, just so if you had an issue and you needed to know the answer, you could just go to the office and find out and sort of knock the door down and make sure they answer you. Yeah, I would probably opt for a local solicitor next time. Just, we'd have to pay more, but I think it'd be worth it just to know you can just go and knock on the door and they will, you know, help you directly instead of waiting for an email back. The next thing that absolutely was essential in getting this across the line was having a lifetime ISA or a LISA. They're basically a government scheme, I believe, where you can put your money in up to £4,000 a year and you get 25% on that. So if you put your full £4,000 in, you get an extra £1,000 extra. Yeah, brilliant. Obviously, free money, can't go wrong. Happy days. But I absolutely recommend it. The other great thing about it is you can't draw that money out. So if you're saving into it, you can't then go, actually, let me draw it out because I want to go on a weekend on the piss up. No, once it's in there, it's in there. And that really helps you sort of not touch it, and it you know, plus the 25%. The one thing with it, if you are looking to buy, you have got to have one for at least a year before you can use it. If I opened one now, I wouldn't be able to use that ISA money until 12 months on. It's just something to be aware of. The next one is be absolutely willing and ready to sacrifice for a season. Like I say, I worked 80 hours a week for 7.5, 8 months, and it you know, it really did a number on me, and mentally, physically. I mean, I'll pop up on the screen actually what it did to me physically. So when I started this whole journey, I was 86 kilos and really fit, really in shape, boxing 3 times a week, running all the time, gymming all the time. And then this is what I look like now. I still go to the gym, I still try and do 3 times a week, I still try and do cardio when I can. But yeah, I've had no social life. I've put on 10 kilos, that's me at 96 kilo. Yeah, so I put on 10 kilos, I have pretty much no social life. I think I've seen my friends maybe 4 times in the last 8 months, maybe less, I don't know. But yeah, it's really done a number on me. Mentally, I was exhausted. Like I say, I didn't have any social life, so I was a bit down some of the time. I didn't see my partner a lot, so I was down. Yeah, it's really, it was a lot of stress. It was a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, a lot of sleep, not sleepless nights because time I got home I was knackered, but late nights, early mornings. So just be willing, if you are trying to speed run it like we did, to be prepared to sacrifice whatever time period you're going to take. Even if it's 3 years, it's going to take some sacrifice. You're going to have to sacrifice maybe a Saturday evening to go and deliver pizzas, or a Friday evening to deliver pizzas, or maybe your mornings to go and clean up your local college, or whatever it is. That money needs to come from somewhere, and it's usually from your time. So yeah, just be prepared to sacrifice if this is something you want to do. If you got this far, you're a legend. I really do appreciate it. Hope this video was useful in some kind of way. If it was, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers, guys.